This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime in association with Micromax.
Comedy, they say, is a serious business. At the onset, you bomb. You bomb a lot. Eventually, you get used to it. But everybody who is successful has bombed. There's not one comic making money who hasn't. Jay Leno bombed, Jerry Seinfeld bombed, Johnny Lever bombed. So did Veer Das and Saurabh Pant at the beginning of their careers. It makes you more powerful and it makes you stronger. It makes you successful and it makes you respect your job. But like any other career, making people laugh requires serious hard work. It needs for you to constantly up your game. But most importantly, it needs that extra funny bone. We bring to you today 3 NRIs currently settled in San Francisco to give us a better insight into the world of stand-up comedy. Difference in cultures, living in a new society and finding voice on stage. One joke at a time. Please welcome Abhay Nadkarni, Samson Koletkar and Richard Sarvate. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Akriti. Thanks for having us on. Yeah.
So, it's easy to laugh at others. Is it difficult to laugh at yourself?
Depends on the situation. I think it's cool to laugh at yourself. I think you should laugh at yourself. It's a defense mechanism and it's evolutionary. That's just how we are, you know.
Yep.
You should laugh at yourself. Yeah.
What about you?
Not so hard. I laugh at myself, especially when I bomb. So that's my learning experience. But no, I think most comedians, we like to pull ourselves down before we bring others along with us. And that puts the audience in a safe place because they're like, okay, khud ka mazak kar raha hai, he's able to laugh at himself, so I can go with this guy. He's not attacking me, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very, like you said, evolutionary process.
Yeah.
So very basic for all comedians to make jokes on ourselves first.
I mean, I can make fun of myself, but if other people insult me, then it hurts. I can dish it out, but I can't take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us, how did comedy as a profession, come into play? I mean, when did you decide that this could be something that you could look at doing full time?
You know, I started doing a lot of, I got into this thing all by mistake. I used to make fun of a lot of the cricket commentators. I used to imitate their voices, and I did this show when I was in college and people really liked the show. It was kind of like a stand-up show, but not, in a mainstream sense, but it was more like in a cricket sense. And that was fun, and then I took a break for a couple of years, and then I was in LA at the time, and then I was like, okay, you live once, might as well try entertaining people. I've always wanted to entertain people, because the first time I saw stand-up was actually in a Seinfeld episode, where he does stand-up at the end of the show, and I was like, what is he doing? Like, he's taking a microphone and entertaining these people? Like, it felt really out of place, because the show was funny, and then he goes on at the end of the show, and then he starts doing these jokes. I was like, this is very, very interesting. I want to try doing this someday. It would be really cool to try it out. Yeah, so here we are, just doing stand-up.
What about you?
Yeah, it became slightly differently for me because I was born and raised in Bombay. And here, back then, I was a kid of the 80s and 90s. Stand-up as an art form did not exist, right? Most of the comedy was about impressions and mimicry, which I don't do at all. Like, he does a lot of voices, he does a lot of voices.
Thanks, dude.
And I'm only like, I only have one voice inside, let's bring that out. But when I went to the US and I saw live stand-up for the first time, basically my thought was, this is amazing. You go up on stage, you talk to people and they pay you for it. That sounds exciting. And I always had this inkling to make everything funny. So I used to do a lot of funny skits and sketches and plays when I was here. I used to write and direct my own stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that was a lot of fun. And there's this instinct in me where if I see something that's not happy or funny, and even if it's a sad occasion, even if I'm at a funeral, I don't know, there's like, I want to tell a joke, I want to see people smile and laugh. And that, I think, instinct got me on stage the first time. And then once you're on stage the first time, you'll either never go back or you can't get off it. And thankfully, I've been on it now for 10 years.
Any similar experiences?
With how I
got into the
how I got
comedy
into
as
it,
a
yeah.
profession? Yes.
Well, yeah, so for me, it was kind of an interesting experience. I almost drowned in Puerto Rico.
Oh, really?
And
Whoa.
do you guys know this?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
That is funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of comedy here. I almost drowned, and then the next day I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Am I just going to go into work and program, or am I going to do something different? It just felt like this was the right way to go.
Okay.
Wow. Tell
But-
some jokes and see how it goes. Make fun of the drowning episode. That's cool.
New
very
material.
That's a joke right
But
there.
how does one get into comedy? I mean, it looks very easy from outside. Anybody, you were only mentioning when we were chatting a while earlier, when you said that the best comedians make it look really easy.
Correct.
So is it as easy for somebody who's just entering, or is it a lot of hard work?
Well, I think for somebody who's starting out,
Yep.
that's one of the easiest phases of comedy because you have accumulated your life experience, right? Whether you're
Sure.
20 or 40, whenever you start, you have those 20, 40 years of jokes that you haven't told
Yeah.
to the world. And so those are your best materials. So when you go up and start, it's about going to any open mic or any stage and being like, I want to be on stage, and you get some time and you tell your jokes and the best ones come out. It's the second phase of it when you've told your initial stuff, all your friends have seen you once on stage, they don't want to show up anymore, and now you're in front of strangers. How well can you connect with them?
Yep.
Because they don't have the insight,
Yeah.
and you have to be more relatable.
Sure.
And now you have to start doing stuff that you haven't done before. That's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
So I think to start, like everything else, you can try anything in life,
Yeah.
unless you're like really scared of speaking to people. But starting is easy. It's the hard part is keep on doing it for long.
Sure.
I think-
Especially not being the most lucrative business.
Yeah.
That's what makes it harder as
Yeah.
well.
You need some really good life experiences to, come up with material as well.
Absolutely.
So you got to travel a lot. You have to meet as many people as you can, and just really introspect your life and just in general. There's a lot of self-reflection in comedy. So if you can do that, then you can probably become a comedian. You may or may not be funny, but you could be a comedian, I guess.
Do you think real life is as funny as comedians fabricate it on stage?
It's definitely a seed. Real life is a seed to a lot of the jokes that you hear from a lot of the comedians, because that's why it's funny, right? Because people relate to a real life scenario. Well, the other day, a comedian was talking about, he was like talking about his relationship with his mom
Okay.
and how he bought stuff from the vegetable market, and people relate to that, right? And it's a funny episode of how the vegetable guy was bargaining with this guy, and the story just goes on. So. There's a lot of things like that people relate to, and then if it's funny, it's funny, and it all stems from real life experiences.
Sure.
Yeah.
What makes you laugh in real life?
For me, ironically, one of the things I love and laugh at is when I see people fall. It's a very physical thing, but if there's a video of people falling down, I am entertained. But other than that, just I like intellectual stuff,
Okay.
stuff that makes you think
Yep.
about the status quo and how you can challenge it, which is why guys like Jon Stewart and John Oliver,
Yeah.
I love their take on things. They're not just going with run-of-the-mill stuff, but making a point about something and making you think about something. And they'll
Yeah.
pick stuff from history, politics, current affairs. To me, that's brilliant and funny.
What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? A lot of things, like like people burning effigies after a cricket match. That is funny to me. It's like because they went through this process of finding the effigy. Like that guy is making a lot of money at India's losing expense, right? If India's lost a match, you'll always find on the news people like burning effigies, and then people get confused. Like whose effigy are we burning? Like they don't have any self-reflection. Okay. Like,
Sure.
so things like that, like
Yeah.
the silly things like that really make me-
Mindlessness.
mindlessness, like
Yeah.
overreactions to things. For example, Coldplay came out with this video, and then there was this whole overreaction about, they've represented India in a bad light. I was like, it's fine. I don't think it was that offensive.
Yeah.
But things like that, like just the fact that for example, like Indians, like in general, India is we're a very intelligent race, right? We have like a lot of people going into engineering, becoming a doctor, becoming a lawyer, but there's also a lot of superstitions,
Yeah.
which kind of counteract the whole thinking logically,
The practical thinking
logical
is, yes.
process,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that hypocrisy is what amuses me, So I guess in short, hypocrisy amuses me. So yeah.
You're a full-time comedian, and yet you've kept your job,
Yes.
as you were telling me. Are you hedging your bets?
A little bit, yes, because we're talking about the American market versus
Yes.
the Indian market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In America, like even Bill Burr said on his podcast, he said, "Don't quit your day job." And so I was like, okay, this is Bill Burr. He knows what he's talking about.
You listen to him.
Yeah, that's how I navigate my life.
He knows what's up. Yeah.
And So yeah, I am hedging my bets for sure. But if I was in India full time, I would probably just jump in.
Yeah.
But
I
what
think
about you?
I'm
I mean,
the-
you seem to have taken it up full time.
I
And yeah.
have, because I finally got into a job that was so bad. I'm like, okay, bus ho gaya yaar, like enough of it. Actually, what's also risky more than anything else is my wife, who was a hardware engineer,
Okay.
she quit her job in August.
All right.
I quit mine in December. We got a 5 and a 2-year-old.
Wow.
And
okay.
I know a lot of my friends are like, dude, how are you going to raise your kids in America? And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, they'll get a very thorough third world experience. That's what it's going to be. So we both have taken the plunge,
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes. I
Yeah.
mean, I learned a lesson in a few months. Either I did the right thing or the wrong. I just didn't want to live my life regretting the fact that I never
Yes.
tried it.
Yeah.
And so I'd been wanting to do this for a long time. My wife was pregnant, so things got delayed. We had a baby, things got delayed. We had a second one, things got delayed. And this seemed like the perfect time when you
Yeah.
have 2 young kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Perfect time.
Yeah, perfect time. I
What
think
about you? Any insecurities?
about being a comic? Yeah, being broke. That's one of it. Like not having any food
I
on
mean,
the
because
table.
you've also kept your job, you know.
Yeah, I
so-
have. You know, in a way, it's helped. Like I'm an engineer by profession. I work in film production, so this is all very familiar. It's
Okay.
cool to be here. But in general, I want to have enough money saved so I can take the plunge eventually.
Yep.
And over here in India, it's cool to see people doing it full time because there's very little supply, right? So you can afford to do that. In America, it's a bit saturated with so many comedians. Everyone's really good. Like a lot of people are very, very talented because they've been there for a while, and comedy is kind of established as a profession in the States. It's like been there for 60, 70 years. So there's like a path to actually get somewhere. Over here, it's still the Wild West because people are putting out YouTube videos, there's shows, there's Vines, there's Twitter stuff happening. So it's kind of all over the place.
Yep.
And a lot of kids are watching content online on YouTube. And you know, they're getting famous because of that. So it's very cool to
Okay.
see that happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to take a break.
I'm always trying to make a point, and it's like, look, I'm putting forth my case.
Yeah.
The audience is the judge.
Yeah.
If you laugh, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And let's go back home and be a little better if we can.
Yeah.